Wealth Within, they gave me that feeling of trust.
What you learn in the course was just mind-blowing.
Amazing. It was phenomenal.
It opens your mind up and makes you realise you don't know what you don't know.
I've got the tools now, 100% worth it.
Definitely get educated.
Hello and welcome to Wealth Within's weekly hot stock tips. I'm Philip Tortevsky, Senior Analyst at Wealth Within, and we are Australia's most trusted stock market educators. Every Tuesday night you can see me on the Australian Stock Market Show live on YouTube alongside two amazing professional traders, Janine Cox and Pedro Banales. In the show we answer important questions around the stock market, cover lots of great stocks and help you become a better trader. Today we'll unveil what's hot and what's not for you, our viewers. But before we dive into this week's stocks, I am joined today by Pedro Banales. Pedro, good morning. Welcome. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, mate. We're back again.
We're back again. Looking forward to another year. I mean, you know, the market's been interesting. Obviously, since holidaying in December, the market's had a bit of a dip.
Yep.
But what's quite interesting, from 2024, the leaders were the tech and financials. Now we're seeing your mob, energy and materials get going.
Let's hope that they can come back to the party, right? They've been absent for a while, so 2025 is going to be interesting and hopefully we get another positive year in the market.
All right, so let's get straight into it. On your screen right now is a watch list of the top 200 ASX stocks. And as you'll see, obviously we have the Star Entertainment Group, the stock or the company that's been in the news recently for a whole bunch of reasons, up 27.7%. But as we say often on this show, you got to take these price moves, weekly price moves with caution, because if we bring up the weekly chart here on Star Entertainment, you'll see that, hey, although it's gone up 27%, it doesn't look too healthy. I mean, it still hasn't been able to claw back all these falls through here, and the way it's closing near the low, I mean, that exudes caution to me. But anyway, as we go down through the list, obviously we have a whole bunch of miners and material stocks, which is quite nice. I mean, we've got Boss, Gold Road Resources, Paladin, Evolution, Deep Yellow, Mineral Resources, some big players coming through there. What's quite interesting is some pharmaceutical stocks also coming through, Telix, Neuron, which is quite nice given the healthcare sector didn't perform superly, if you will, last year. I mean, some stocks did, but then quite a few didn't. And then up through the list, obviously, we've got Tabcorp Holdings, which is coming off a real severe fallback in September. And what are we here on the daily chart? Let's just bring up, picked it twice, which is not right, but let's go to the monthly here to have a good look. Coming out of a big fall, so obviously nice to see that one ticking up. Now, flipping the script to the worst performers for the week, it's no surprise you're going to see a lot of the, I guess, tech players in here. You know, being a sector that performed so well last year, it is quite normal to see a bit of a breather, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, especially since our market is not heavily geared toward the tech players. So we may be seeing a little bit of sober investing coming in, if you may, to a little bit more of those undervalued type stocks.
Yes, very interesting. All right, so what's hot in the market this week? Well, on your screen right now is my hot stock tip for the week, which is Magellan Financial Services, stock ticker code MFG. Now on your screen, obviously, is the monthly and weekly charts on the left and right. Now, I mean, you might be scratching your head thinking, Phil, why have you chosen this one, mate? But
I'm not. I like it.
Yeah, given it's had a huge fall. And, I must caution this particular hot stock with the fact that, hey, it is on the riskier side, given it is coming out of these major corrections. But, hey, where there's risk, there's also reward, right?
Exactly.
And so this is one of those opportunities. If you can get in near the lows and time it right, there is, huge growth upside potential here. And what I really like about this one, let's just start things off on the monthly chart. You can see, obviously, it's no surprise since the all-time high in January 20, this one's had a dismal time of it falling all the way down. But as the fall has gone on with it, you can see that the bar started to get smaller in nature. And around that August 2022 period, we really saw that, hey, you know what? The gradient of the fall is starting to flatten out. We're starting to see buys come into this market, and it's given us this beautiful reversal, slowdown of sellers, a nice little flush out through here. And now we've started to see, since the October 2023 low, we've seen 1, 2, 3, and this is a red bar itself. We're seeing 4 attempts by sellers to take price lower, they've been higher than the previous attempt.
Yes.
And buyers have gobbled it up each time.
And closing near the high as well, multiple times.
Exactly. And we've actually closed above that previous peak before the flush out happened in August 2023. We closed above it in December 2024. So we are now seeing a scenario where each time sellers are having a go, buyers are eating them up and pushing prices higher.
Yes.
And what you often see with stocks that do come out of significant lows, I've marked this period back through, if my mouse cursor can work, back through here, which is when the market came out through another significant low, which was 2011. Look how the nature of the bars are short and tight. And then the market starts to really gain momentum and expand. And the point I'm trying to make here is the fact that not often or not always do you see markets come out of lows and just springboard up like what happened through here. And I mean, you could even argue that this whole period was trying to find the significant low and falter around before giving that sharp rise. It's often a third of the way or a half of the way where you do see, okay, the cat's out of the bag.
Yeah.
This is a buyer's market, and you see that euphoric or that extensive buying.
Yes.
You're in a position with Magellan where we haven't seen that yet, meaning there's so much more opportunity.
For sure.
We're not expanded, we're not extended. So, hey, even a run up, you know, if you get in early enough in this one here, if it continues on the run up, you're looking at about 80% to the next level of resistance, which is marked at around $21, which I see as probably the most important one where this congestion was back in 2018. Now, I mean, just moving to the weekly chart, what I also really like is the fact that we're starting to accelerate on the gradient of rise.
Yes.
And that's another good sign. You can see where the number one is. It was working to a certain gradient, touching those levels.
Yep.
And now we've expanded, again, respecting it recently through here on the 17th of January. So we're moving at a faster pace, and we're also accompanying that with some nice volume. So I think if we can keep going from here, it's all pointing to, hey, the bulls are getting more excited. And if you can find the right opportunity, you might get some good reward.
100% agree. And if you are going to look at these types of stocks, this is the time to start looking at them, right? If we go back to the chart, you know, as you pointed out, this earlier period over here, you know, this would have been the time to get in. Once you're over, you know, this part of the chart, yes, it's great that it's moving up, but you'd be thinking, well, is it too late to get in? You know, at this point, you got to think of your psychology. So,
well, it's a much harder trade. I think that's what it's a much harder way to then have to work out where's best to position my protection, my stop.
Yes.
Is it too tight given the way it's moving, or is it not enough? And then that throws out the best trade scenario. So I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like, you know, once it's already run, people start to say, am I too late to get in now? You know, I'm just waiting for a pullback. Well, you'll be waiting for a while. Whereas if you position yourself right at this point, well, you're not worried about it. If you're already in profit, say around that 30%, until the next, you know, that next resistance level, which, you know, could be around that $14 mark. But as you mentioned, that's the strongest one, that $21. But if you're already in profit around here, you're not going to be worried if the stock's moving around, you know, a couple of percent up and down.
Well, it makes the trade a lot easier because you allow the stock a lot more. It's so much easier to let give a stock room to move when you're in profit.
When you're in profit, exactly.
When you're in a loss, right?
100%.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is going to be the best opportunity to get in, to be able to reap the rewards of that. And if you are going to invest in the financials, I think that these are the types of financial stocks to be looking at, isn't it? I mean, we've seen a big run in the financials last year.
Yes.
Let's start looking at those second-tier bankers and these other types of financial instruments.
Absolutely. Great point there. All right. Well, that is it for my hot stock tip. Now we're moving on to a stock that should make you proceed with caution. Nickel Industries stock ticker code NIC. Now on your screen is the monthly and weekly charts. And again, Pedro, this one is positioned in a space that, I mean, you know, you're very familiar with the energy and materials sector. And what's so interesting or intriguing to me about this stock, why it's a caution, is because I think the two most important levels right now are the 70 cents and also $1.09. You can see $1.09 has acted as resistance on 3 occasions: August 22, February 23, and May 2024. So it's really failed to get through there. And so, you know, looking for an opportunity here, you've got to weigh up your risk reward potential to this particular level. But on the flip side, 70 cents has been such a strong level for this stock in terms of support. You've seen a bounce October 22, Feb 24, again recently in October. Now we're forming one of those type of congestion moves on this particular market. And when you see these kinds of patterns form, generally that's a precursor to another huge expansion.
Yeah.
And so this market could be just accumulating right now, or this particular stock could be accumulating. And if it does run, you can see that when it does get going, it provides huge volatility, great earning potential.
Yep.
And so right now it is a caution to me, because it's all about getting that right moment right on when you're going to pull the trigger, so you're not stuck sideways and you're really going to capture the move up when it's about to pop, if that's what's likely to happen.
Yes.
And so you want to see it get above, if we go back to the chart, you want to see it get above at least these levels through here. For the riskier type player. The safer player might be waiting a little longer. Or if you're Pedro, you might even think about getting in even earlier.
A little bit earlier.
But I mean, you know, to add on top of that, you've got huge volume coming in on a bar that's shown huge buying.
It has, yes.
So, I mean, thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I 100% agree, and I'd be interested to see what that price, that risk to reward ratio is. So we've got around that 26% versus that 15%, 16%. Probably not the best time, like you said. It's definitely a caution. And just the fundamental factors as well. We've got nickel, which I believe BHP has stopped or has paused their nickel production for the moment.
Okay.
Because we've got a lot of nickel coming out of Indonesia, I believe.
Right.
But so there's a little bit of uncertainty around nickel at the moment, and I think that's reflective of the chart. So that's another reason to be cautious on this stock.
Yep.
I think the nickel prices, they're not going crazy at the moment. So definitely it'll be interesting what happens to price when it nears the apex of this triangle that you've drawn there. If it does find some supports, maybe some short-term traders could pick something up around that 70-cent level.
Well, I was going to ask you that. If you're looking at this play with the overhanging, point you just mentioned about that, instability or I guess question mark around the fact of the nickel and the production with BHP.
Yeah.
When you look at something like this, it's volatile. Technically, it might look nice.
Yes.
What kind of play are you putting to this? And you just kind of let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah.
Is it more of a short-term play that you're making with these kinds of stocks until the overriding scenario picks up and you're like, okay, there's a big tail behind it from a fundamental perspective, then I'm more happy to trade this medium to long term?
Yes.
Or is it, hey, it looks good technically and I'm just going to ride it in there?
Right, yeah, well, actually, this stock actually looks quite volatile by nature as well. So it's not for everyone. So I probably wouldn't be holding this long term. It'll be a short to medium term at most play. And I'm talking maybe 1 year at the most. I probably wouldn't be holding it more than that.
If those fundamentals haven't, confirmed yet,
yes,
is it even more potentially of a shorter term play, just picking up the movements in price, given it is, range-bound markets aren't the worst markets to trade.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is stuck between 70 and $1.09. So
exactly.
You could almost argue that, hey, whilst the instability or the question marks are still there, this could falter between 70 and $1.09 and provide some nice short-term trading opportunities.
Trade it on speculation. That's it. And let the chart tell you what's going on. Maybe just blur out a little bit of the fluff that's going on around and just focus on the chart.
Yeah. So you're saying right now where the chart looks, you're thinking perhaps not medium-term opportunities present just yet?
No.
More short-term?
More short-term. And like you mentioned, caution. That risk to reward just isn't quite there yet. If it was a little bit lower, and it's interesting to say that, if it was lower, then it might be a bit of a better proposition.
All right, fantastic. Now, lastly, what's not hot in the stock market this week? Well, Collins Food Limited, stock ticker code CKF. So let's get into the charts now. And I mean, a stock that, look, it's quite interesting and it's not my hot stock tip this week, but it could very well be a stock that could find some support. It's operating at a real interesting level at $6.86, but we trade on confirmation, not speculation.
Yeah.
And just because there is a level of support potentially that the stock could find here, I mean, you do really need to see it confirm. One, you need to see buyers come in. You need to see it really show you that, hey, this is going to be a significant low like it was back in December 2022. And you can clearly see, hey, even though you might not have got in on the first instance, there are plenty of opportunities to get that safer type move. But anyway, the reason why it's not hot, coming out of the all-time high, November 2021, you can see the buyers had a real go at it. And that's why I've marked that green dot through there. They weren't able to take out the all-time high. In the past, in the whole history of this stock, Collins Food Group, anytime it's had a significant pullback, guess what it's done? It's broken to new all-time highs.
Yeah.
On this occasion, it didn't happen. So, and look at the correction, the way it fell the same velocity and the same vigor as it rose throughout this December 22. So basically, all the buyers' efforts through here, the sales said, hey, you know what, we can do just as good here in the same amount of time and dump it all the way back down through here. So right now, we've got that overriding momentum line that the stock keeps respecting on the way down. There's nothing promising about it. Even on the weekly chart, it's broken a low.
Yeah.
Looks like this week might, in fact, give some kind of short-term bullishness, but hey, it's still closing near the low or below that low. So I would think a lot needs to happen before you get excited yourself.
Yeah, agreed. So I'd put it on my watch list. It actually looks, like eventually it could trigger a buy, and when it does, it runs well. But this is such a strong support level that you've outlined there. This is make or break at the moment, and that trend line is really going to support you, protect you on the way down.
Yeah.
So
from getting in too early.
So I'd just be watching those two levels and just chuck it on your watch list. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks for watching this edition of Wealth Within's weekly hot stock tips. Now remember to tune into the live Australian stock market show on YouTube from 7 p.m. Eastern time every Tuesday night. To find us, just type Wealth Within live in the YouTube search. And remember to have your phone ready to call in live to speak to us so we can answer your questions. The number is 03 9290 9988. Or you can email into the show right now by sending your questions to info@wealthwithin.com.au. Now, if you want a copy of Dale's first book, you can still get it for free. You just have to pay the shipping. You can order it from our homepage, wealthwithin.com.au. And I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. And thank you very much, Pedro, for your excellent comments today, mate.
My pleasure, mate. See you next time. Huh?
See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. See you next week. All right. Well, thank you very much. And thank you to all of you for watching. For now, goodbye, good luck, and good trading.